Hey pals, how you doing? Big week, huh? Um, I just felt called to share some astro insights that have been kind of coming through for a while. I don't usually share these over video. It just hasn't been my jam for the last few years, though my astrological practice has been pretty stinking deep. But there's something that's coming through right now. I mean, there's always a lot going on in the cosmos, but we're definitely in some pretty, major moments that hopefully we can engage with, in a mindful way. And so here I am to just give some thoughts and maybe a tiny bit of meaning in this really sort of uncertain time. And I guess what I feel just really drawn to talk about is, um, I guess, masculine, feminine energy. That's kind of what the downloads have been, but really thinking about the planet Mars, I think any of us, when we think about Mars, when we hear Mars, we think about like fighting and aggression and conflict and defense, and hitting something, arguing, fighting back, right? And that is one use of Mars. That is maybe that's been effective for a lot of people over time, like, I don't like this. This is not what I want. Let's start a war. Let's it's a very blunt energy. And in a non-gendered form, it's a very masculine energy. And that's cool. But I just want to invite, the idea and the thought that that's really not the only way to engage with that energy. Um, and if that's not your nature, it can feel maybe really uncomfortable and disempowering to try to engage on that level. Like, you know, say someone comes at you with a really hurtful, you know, inflamed, comment or concept. And yeah, you get angry, we want to defend it, defend our values, defend what we believe in. And that's beautiful and that's noble. And yes, like, let's stay true to our values, but let's also maybe practice ways that we can work with Mars energy on our own terms, in ways that really align with how we show up in the world. So I don't know about you, but like, I am not the type of person that can come back at something over and over again with anger and fight and division. That's just not my nature. I'm maybe more, it's taken me a while to really understand this, but I have a bit more of a feminine nature, which is creative, and transmuting and curious, and while the rage and the anger and the fight that comes up when I see things and hear things that are unjust is very real. A way that I've been working with that Mars energy lately has been to feel it, take it in as information, and then think about what Mars looks like on my terms, How do I get creative with this? How do I engage with this if I'm not just trying to blow something up, smash it, and take it down and win? Um, I think my values include like a deeper hope. Maybe this is silly, but for understanding and belonging. And how can I, use that creative Mars potential to get a Mars outcome, right? Which is getting what I want, right? Or going for what I want, or being, or taking action, or being motivated, or feeling my passion. These are all Mars things. Having courage, being brave, showing up. How do I do that? What's the way that I or you maybe do that in a way that's way more in alignment with your nature? And it seems right now, because there's this dominant story, or that's how I perceive it a lot of times through a multi, media uh, through taking in multimedia streams, that there's this, you know, anger and hate and fight and reason to be terribly afraid and either cower down or fight back. And I think there are plenty of people who can honor their nature to fight back in their own ways. But I'm really trying to listen into, you know, the most powerful use of my Mars function, in a sacred feminine way. How do I have the courage, to have a really fucking hard conversation with somebody that I seem to vastly disagree with, that seems to, thwart what I believe in and people that I love and ideas that I love, and perhaps sees, my physical body as a middle-aged, woman, um, as not valuable, not useful. Ways that I've gotten creative with that information have been to really just kind of pull back and get logical about it. Honestly, it's like, how ridiculous that anyone would ever seem less valuable than anybody else. Like, just that right there is just completely not, it doesn't even serve. Like, I can't even go there. And the second piece is this, let's say this hyper masculine, overpowering energy of like, we will control, your body. We will take away the reproductive health. We will, this is what marriage looks like. And this is what, these are the, you know, I don't know. Y'all know, you heard where like women who haven't had children like don't deserve a vote. Like, I think JD Vance, I mean, like, what an exaggerated, sad attempt at trying to access and understand the mystery of the power that we hold as women. I mean, if anybody makes a fucking blood sacrifice for this world, it's us. If anyone offers that on the regular, has a commitment to this sort of, cyclical, healing, life-giving, generative potential, of this planet, it's women. And to have to be fed a line that, like, I mean, I don't want to like gender this, but like this masculine energy, can control that, is kind of goofy. It's very real, it's very serious, and it has very major repercussions. That said, as I'm getting curious with my particular Mars, and I encourage each of you to just really tap into like how your Mars energy wants to come through you on your terms, not just as a defense to, fight, fight, fight. Like, think about how creative and nuanced that passion is within you, and when it's really focused, how it can move forward to get what you want, right? What I want is like a sense of peace and belonging. I know it's crazy, right? But I'm into it, for all beings. So I'm bringing up Mars, at such a degree at this point, because I think we have this really powerful opportunity, both like through the election, through inauguration, and into next year, where Mars is really asking for some reflection, looking back, thinking about what we're defending, creative ways to take action. Are we motivated by a sense of care, by a sense of protection, But are we the best person to go out there, and maybe that's not what that looks like. I guess I'm just feeling called to invite creativity into this movement, which I know everybody else, I'm not like new to this. I'm just looking at the astrology. I'm looking at how we are experiencing the opposition of Mars and Pluto, action and power, having this dance over the next 6 months where we really have to think about how we engage powerfully, how we feel like our power has been taken, how we authentically own, you know, where we can show up and in our power, moving forward, and through this gateway, Pluto is actually changing signs, which only happens like every, 18 to 20 years. We're having what's called like a changing of the gods. Pluto, when we first started this Mars Pluto story, Pluto would be in Capricorn, and now it will be moving into Aquarius, like in the coming week. And so I want to, I encourage the grief. I encourage us to listen to where we have felt afraid and scared and triggered, and to call our people and like get our hugs and take care of our hearts and take care of each other. And then when we're ready, I want to invite Mars to come through you in the way, through us, in the way that is connected to our nature and maybe our most like effective and empowering way to use it. And if that's like, that can take a lot, all I'm going to say is that can take a lot of different shapes. It's really up to you to tap into that um, instinctual part of you. But I have just been really sitting in this, for some time before the election, and seeing how it plays out really through next spring. Each one reach one. How do we activate that within ourselves? And really listen in, and not necessarily be hijacked by only the defense reaction, only this, like it takes our power when we feel like we have to react with someone else's anger to match that. I think the courage comes when we can listen to how it wants to move through us, how action makes the most sense through our own selves, through our own communities. And I think there's a lot of potential for change. And I don't know what that looks like, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about this and see if that's useful or helpful. I do feel that astrology is such a wonderful like guidepost for a little bit of meaning and understanding in these major times, because you can have you can see the archetypal elemental forces that are engaging with you, and the more that we can sort of learn the archetypal energetics of those astrological imprints, we get to engage in a way that aligns with, our own special nature. And so, yeah, just like a friendly reminder. I know this is kind of long, but yeah, you're unique, and you have unique gifts and talents and courage and power and beauty and creativity to share. And I guess I just don't want you to forget that. So hang in there, and yeah, one day at a time, pals.